Hello and welcome to the Dream Warrior Review, Episode 10. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Miq Strawn.
5 bucket heads in a room. Wait, now how am I going to explain this one? Okay, so we saw JIgsaw.
We just saw Jigsaw.
I was trying to explain the plot in a very short way.
Wow.
Okay, so basically there's 2 stories going on at once. One, there's there's the usual Saw movie where 5 people wake up in a room. They don't know where they are. They have to figure it out. They have to figure out how to get out of it.
Basically, you wake up in a prop maker's nightmare.
Yes.
Yes. Because the only way that this could all come together is if somebody was a prop maker.
I'm sure
So
the guy has
if
no
you're
hair
looking
left.
for the guilty party,
Yes.
he's had experience in motion pictures before.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just
the
saying.
other story
Yeah.
is simultaneously going on, which I found really annoying, was the cops that are chasing the Jigsaw, or what they think could be the Jigsaw
Right.
again.
But now, am I wrong, or did it just seem like the whole thing didn't have enough connection to the outside world to feel believable? I mean,
Yes. the whole movie I had problems with.
there was a feeling like the only people that you had the coroner,
Yes.
and you had his assistant.
Which he was creepy from the beginning, I
Well,
thought.
she
but
was,
Anyway.
but
No, well,
but-
she wasn't creepy, but he was, I thought.
he was
I thought she was just a little quirky, I
he
guess.
was he was a bad actor from the Glades.
That's where I was trying to
Came
remember
from
where
the
he came
Glades,
from.
yeah,
Yes.
right. So, but what I'm saying is that you had the coroner, and the only people that the detective is looking at are the coroner and his assistant for this particular crime that's being. And why are we going 2 different directions? Why is Jigsaw deciding that you can kill some people and I'll kill some people? I didn't get any of it.
I found it really annoying to watch too, because so I'm trying to get into this thing where these people are in, the traps and how they get out of it and all this bullshit. But why? Okay, well,
It didn't feel real.
no, it didn't.
Nothing felt real.
I think there would have been an argument, like before they entered the room, like, well, we don't want to go in there because it's a trap. Like, what do we do? Like, I don't think they would just go, oh, let's go in the grain silo and pull this thing down. I'm just saying, there's a lot of BS there.
You don't. Well, it's
I guess they had to keep
the
it short.
rules of horror.
Yes.
That,
Well,
that
we always bring this up, and logic does kind of play into how much you enjoy things sometimes if it's really stupid.
Yeah.
But what I hated was the fact that I was getting into the scene where people were in a trap, and then all of a sudden, oh, let's cut away to the detectives. And I'm
Right.
like, it's like you're reading a good book, and somebody like interrupts you or something. Like,
the thing is, we had the 3 different places to go.
Yes.
We could go to the detectives.
Yes.
And then we could go to the coroner and his assistant, and
That's
then
true.
we cut back. But those are only the places we ever even saw. I mean, there could be, there was very little on the street, very little, people going by.
Well, they rented a movie set, and they had to stick with it. They didn't do any like location scouting or anything.
Yeah, well, it had that feel. It was very closed off, and
everything could go wrong with those mechanics.
By the way, speaking if you have mechanics like that,
Yes.
who do you get to fix them if they break down?
Right.
I mean, you have a creepy mechanic?
Creepy technician, I guess.
Yeah.
Little guy named Igor.
I mean, okay, wait. Yeah.
Or Igor.
Okay. So those guys are on Craigslist, right?
They probably are named Igor.
Yeah.
I don't know, is it Igor or Igor? I
Igor?
guess Igor would be the one that's from the funny movie, but Igor is the one that's more reliable.
Depends
probably.
on if your pinky's up or pinky's down. Pinky's up, Igor. Pinky's down, Igor.
So this is a hard one to review because I liked it to a certain point until you went to the bathroom and then everything went to shit.
Yeah, okay. So now about that. How can I go to the bathroom at a point and just completely it all changes, and I come back and it's a completely different film. I have no idea what that, what magic urine have I got, right?
Well, I think you had like a sense that, oh, this is going to go horribly wrong. I'm going to go. So as soon as you left the room, something happened, and I was like, okay, it just took this huge turn, and it's almost like hey, we're almost out of money. Let's just wrap this up somehow. Let's figure it out.
And the weird thing about it is I go to the bathroom and I come back and everybody's wearing strange things on their heads. Right. Futuristic looking, where before everything
lasers and stuff. Yeah.
Before everything, was like gritty, and now all of a sudden everything had although we did know that the laser was going to come up because but you got to admit there was one pretty good
actually there was one awesome
effect.
Probably are we thinking the same one? Where
yeah,
kind of looked like an octopus.
Octopus, yeah.
Yes,
the octopus
that was pretty awesome.
That was really good. That was interesting. I'm sure that it wasn't practical. It had to be optical, but
I said to myself, actually, I might have said it out loud. I said that was pretty cool.
Yeah, you did.
But the rest of the movie,
the rest of the movie was crap.
What?
Yeah, I just
why? That was my question most of the time. So
a lot of times,
why did they make this movie? Is my question. Why? Or just a money grab, or do you think that guy needed money and he said, "I want to be in one more Jigsaw movie"?
Well, they're always trying to. They're always trying to bring the classics back.
Would you call Saw? See, okay, I'm not a huge Saw fan.
Yeah,
and in fact,
but it's a classic.
I was trying to remember Saw. I remember the first one I really liked, and then I kind of powered through the next four. And I don't have any memory of them.
But I think the Saw was the
But what does it say about Saw if I don't remember the first 5 movies?
Yeah, well, that's a good point.
I kind of remember the first one.
I kind of like the concept of Saw, that there's a revenge aspect to it.
Right. Or justice, cosmic, as they call it.
Well, cosmic. No, the question is justice or cosmic revenge. It's kind of the same thing.
So you saw the first one. You probably remember it more than I do.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? So,
I don't. But you know
based
what?
on the movies you've seen before.
Let me say this about the first one, though.
Yeah.
It felt real.
The first one did feel... Actually, the first one was...
I think that... I'm not kidding here. I really honestly think that we have a production design problem here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I do. I don't think that there was a mix between real and set. It felt like we were completely on a set all the way through.
Yeah, I agree.
And even to the point of that there were certain things that when they walked into the room, there was a platform, and like you could tell that something was going to happen on the platform.
Yeah.
And so there had to be something under the platform. So he goes up on the platform, and all of a sudden you can tell that those 2 feet that you had there are where the gag is.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, do you think though it's because the first one you saw, it was fresh, it was something different? Maybe we were looking more for things because we've seen a bunch of Saw movies.
Yeah.
There's nothing really new anymore.
No. It
was the same
happens
gags
when
where you're getting pulled by the neck. I mean, it was the same things.
But when you get locked into, it had a set feel.
Some of the gags were better in the first one too. I do remember like the one that would clamp down on you.
Well, some of them were they were more
more claustrophobic is what I was thinking. Like,
and they were more direct. They were more. You have to do this,
and less could go wrong.
Yeah. You have to do this, because you have to cut your own arm off in order to, survive this part of it, right? And it was pretty clear. This one, I hate it when, there's a little piece of poetry that goes on, and that poetry is supposed to save you, and you have to wait until some character that's there kind of figures it out. Oh, well, my aunt was a da-da-da and used that poetry when she was young, and therefore we need to do... Oh, and you're going, oh, well, see, how could I have known that, right?
The one that... Actually, I like one line. It was the guy with the... I can't remember the guy's name. Brian or Ryan or something.
Oh, right.
The guy when had his leg stuck.
He said, that's creepy.
I have a confession. This is really messed up. Or what do you say? This whole thing is really messed up.
This whole thing is really messed up.
So, that's not an exact quote. But.
Stunning dialogue, by the way. Stunning dialogue.
Well, you don't need dialogue in this kind of movie.
No, that's true, but you have to believe something.
See, I discovered this movie that you already knew about on Netflix, and I can kind of compare it to that a little bit. Okay. So, Cube. The first movie, Cube.
Yeah.
What I liked about that is similar in a little bit, like where they're in a trap, but it's very simple, and there's only a couple things that could happen.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But people were like thinking it through and talking it with each other.
And
That's kind of what I would hope for this one.
That's exactly it. They were talking with each other. And the really cool thing about the cube is it was all done in exactly the same set. The same cube, right? And they kept redressing it and redressing it. And I was just, from a production designer's point of view, I was like, that's a great cheat.
Because he was probably just sitting there sipping coffee. Like,
yeah,
oh,
right.
easy.
You know, production designers like, yeah, well.
The guy on Jigsaw, on the other hand, had no hair left. How am I going to do
this? He
had
a bucket on his head is what he did.
Yeah, I had my doubts when I saw her open it on the buckets. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess, how can we wrap it up in a nutshell? I think it was probably better than, I didn't see 6 and 7, but it was better than 5.
I need to tell you a story.
Oh.
Okay, come on. Go ahead.
So I have a question for you.
Sure.
There's something that's bothering me. Cars in movies.
In general.
There's one thing that I hate is when they flip over forward. And then there's another one that we saw in this one where they run into each other and they explode for no reason.
Right. Well, that's
like a Simpsons episode.
Exactly. And the thing is, Simpsons is just they're just mocking the way that it's been for years. Is cars explode, and cars don't explode.
Well, in Simpsons, everything explodes.
Well, exactly. Well, that's I mean, cars goes over.
I remember a bike going off a cliff one time and it exploded.
That's right. Exactly. You know, it's like a skateboard explodes on The Simpsons. Well, the fact is that cars don't just go over a cliff and, well, here's the worst is when the car goes over the cliff and then explodes in the air. Well, why did that explode?
Yes,
really?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's
particle in the air.
It's just a visual medium, and but I have to tell you a story.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay, here we go.
Storytime.
It's story time with Miq.
Storytime with Miq.
Storytime with Miq.
Storytime with Miq. Storytime with Miq. Storytime with Miq.
Storytime with Miq.
I was working on a film called Warrior of Waverly Street.
Wow.
That I remembered that is actually a pretty impressive thing. But we were actually filming the inside of a big giant head.
Really?
Yes, we are. It was we were doing second unit, and we're in there with the director, and basically the rest of the film has been shot except for 2 pieces. One piece is the interior of the big giant head, which was enormous. It was about the size of a desk up on its side, and this kid, Starkid, is supposed to be inside. I think the film was actually released as Starkid, and you're seeing the things that are going on inside of this mask that he's wearing. But in order to film it, we made the effects guys had made a really big one, and so in the end, being as I was one of the more experienced people on the crew, I wound up operating an awful lot of what was going on because the effects guys had to go on to something else. And they said, well, here's the controls for the big giant head, and so we were filming. And while we were filming, there was a little second unit, which was
a second unit.
A second unit. Believe me, you have no idea how many times this kind of thing gets going. At the end of the film, you're just trying to get as much footage as you can. And the second unit, we're supposed to film the cop car dunking into the kids' pool. Okay? So the guy who was the second unit director and the stunt coordinator, he gets up there and he calls back, and we're on the radio and and he calls back and he goes, we're gonna need a Jaws of Life standing by for this stunt. And we're all kind of looking at each other and I go, okay, well, Jaws of Life, and we'll send it up there. And they're filming 3 miles away somewhere up in the Glendale Hills. And basically, we set up a pool for them, and they were going to run this car, this police car. We had a hedge, and behind the hedge is a ramp, and he's going to go up the ramp and just land. That's all he has to do.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's something that could happen by accident, right?
Yeah.
And so,
Well, if there's a ramp and a hedge, I guess anybody
yeah, a
can-
ramp and a hedge and a ramp and a hedge, right? And I've got an old Dodge, and this is going to happen. So we hear from them back and forth on the radio, and and finally at 2, there comes this weird radio silence, and we don't hear from them again. And we're filming away, and we're really intensely into this head, and we're and finally about 5 o'clock at night, this PA comes in, and he just looks like he had that kind of hangdog kind of look to him, like he'd drawn the short straw. And so he walked in and he hands us a tape of what they had shot in second unit. So we all take a break, and we're standing around the monitor, and in the tape runs, and you see the shot of the pool, and they did a couple of setup shots for it, with the kids running around and the kids running away from the pool,
Right,
and all the rest of that. And finally, it's time for the big shot. And this barely experienced stunt coordinator, you see everybody roll, and you see the car coming down, and it hits the curb, which they hadn't put a little ramp on the curb, so it immediately flattened the tires. And so he goes over the curb. Now he's got flat tires, and he's approaching the ramp.
Oh gosh!
But it's cutting his speed way down. And finally, he goes up the ramp, but at this point, he's going probably about 15 miles an hour, right? And I mean, literally, you could run faster than he was going. And he goes, and he just kind of barely gets over the hedge. Immediately on the other side of the hedge, it lands all 4 tires down. Now, the idea was that he was going to land in the middle of the pool, right? Yeah. And he goes, and all 4 tires are flat, so he just kind of like, he lands like this, and he rolls about another 20 feet to where the pool is, and then he just taps the side of the pool, and the water runs out. And and it's the end of the tape, and we're all like looking at the TV, and we kind of like looking around at each other, and I said, well, can we release the jaws of life now?
Right.
So there was that. You know what? It's important.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how is that important to Jigsaw? Let's bring it back around. No.
How is it important? Oh, how is it important in Jigsaw? Same gag. Those 2 cars, there's an emergency, and obviously they ran the 2 cars at each other at the ramp, and kind of like dink. When they just dink at each other, they just exploded a gas bomb. So it kind of went.
Well, the shot almost looked to me like 2 Matchbox cars that were held on strings. They just kind of tapped them together. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So
stunt.
Okay.
Stunt.
This is more important to me than other things we've talked about. But stunts, I'm tired of these stunts. Why? Okay.
Why do things?
What I really like are those stunts that were in the Blues Brothers, for example.
Right.
They're realistic. So cop cars hitting ramps or whatever, and then rolling over, flying. But
stunts have.
It made sense, like physically.
Stunts have grown. I'll tell you, I did a film just before I came out of LA. I went in and I helped coordinate just a reshoot. And in this reshoot, there was supposed to be a bunch of wrestling guys that were fighting in the middle of a hospital set, right? And when we first got there, we got there with the art department truck, which is a little tiny truck, and we fit in all of our equipment, which is just the typical to make it look like a hospital. And then the stunt people showed up, and they had an entire rigging truck that came with another truck. They had a rigging truck, and they had another truck that came that was just full of pipes and trusses. And in a matter of like 3 hours, they built trusses on the corner of everything on the outside of the set and put pipes everywhere. And the ideas, what they were doing was, every time they were going to have a fight in there with all these, wrestlers. And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to pull everybody real hard. And, and when somebody went jump, they would jump and they would rig them and pull. And so absolutely every movement that they were making was super exaggerated and that's what our stunts are now. Yeah. Is you can't hit somebody and make it look like what we want to think or what Hollywood thinks that we want to see a hit look like. So somebody gets hit and they get jerked all the way across the stage,
right?
And that's become that exaggerated look.
Well, I guess it's not more the exaggerated. I'm talking about the stuff that doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, but that's what's happening.
Like flipping a car over on the front end.
But that's what
when
I'm saying.
When it hits like a ramp.
That's the same.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, because what you're looking at is just the most bang you can get for your buck.
Right.
The most.
Everything has to explode too.
Everything has to explode. Everything has to flip.
They should start doing that when people hit each other.
It just explode.
Yeah, too much alcohol.
Bam, boom.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Sure.
So we never really said if we liked Jigsaw. Like,
I'm not sure that I did.
I
just think it looked phony. I didn't believe any of it. That plot twist. I'm never going to the bathroom again ever. Because up to that point, I didn't think it was very good.
Yeah.
But at least I followed what was going. I took a piss, and the movie took a crap.
I would have liked it better if they would have worked in the detecting somehow better. Like, I don't know, maybe have simultaneous screens or something.
Well,
like
maybe if they brought up somebody else other than like the 4 people that were in the film.
So I'd say it was for me, it was a very mediocre movie that I probably wouldn't say I wouldn't be that excited about going to it. Maybe wait till it comes on video. If you're a Saw fan, video is okay. I think.
The guy that was the star from the Glades, go back to TV.
Yeah. Well, I think Saw will come out on Hulu or Netflix or something, and people.
So he is going back to TV.
Jigsaw, whatever. Yeah, definitely, literally,
literally going back to TV.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's Jigsaw.
That's
that was
Jigsaw.
a weird one.
Yeah.
That's probably one of our weirdest reviews.
Yeah, I know. That's it's. I don't think. I think that this.
It's a lot like Jigsaw was. We kept changing subjects.
Exactly. Wrong. It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Wrong.
Again, I'm Kurt Thomas along with Miq Strawn. Thank you for joining us on Dream Warrior Review. We welcome your feedback, and if you have any questions or burning desires or just ideas for our show, we welcome email at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com. Our music was by Bloodgod, and please do join us next time on Dream Warrior Review.